Kain tayo. Yung nabili kong saging sira. Matigas tapos ang dami niyang itim-itim. Buti na lang hindi ko inubos yung isang piling. Kanina naglakad kami nila. Kami ng almost 1 hour. 52 minutes. Try kong gawin yun araw-araw.
On the gut. And their products don't have any preservatives or artificial colors or flavors, which isn't something you can say about a supermarket loaf of bread. I also love that Walgreen works with small bakeries. So not only is there care put into each item, I'm also supporting small businesses. And for each box you get, they donate 2 meals to the Greater Boston Food Bank and other organizations that help fight hunger. If you want to try out Walgreen for yourself, click the link in the description and use the code TINYHOME30 to get $30 off your first box and get free croissants for life. Now let's get back to the tour of my cottage. My cottage has a room. We have a little kitchen area, and then we have this room. This room is my workspace, my bedroom, my living room. I do everything other than eat here. It's very important when I walked into this cottage initially to figure out what fit where. And I chose the workbench to be here because it faces the windows and it gives me light. I can look out the window once in a while, and this is where I wrote 3 books. I've been working at this space a lot. I started doing telehealth as a licensed clinical social worker and therapist on my computer. Next week I retire, but I've been doing it for a good 7 years. I got this desk from Amazon. It's called Workbench. People sometimes buy them and put them in their garages. There's this little shelving unit here that I had when I first came here, and there was no door, so I had a door put in. I have all of my clothing in one shelf. I got some clients, stuff in a couple of shelves. I have my essential oils on top. So it's a very handy little closet, and it holds a lot. And this is my workspace. When I was around 9 years old, living at my parents' home, and I was playing in the backyard one day, and I imagined this little cottage. It had little white flower boxes in the front, and a little fence around it, and I could see through the door that it had a bed and a table and a chair, everything I needed. I just felt so warm and fuzzy looking at that cottage, imagining myself living in it. That went in the back of my mind for a long, long time, owned and all that kind of stuff. And then I got divorced, and I started looking at YouTube videos and all kinds of shows about tiny homes. And I remembered my deep desire to live simply and to have a little home. And it just kind of like started me thinking about it. And I believe in the power of attraction. I believe that when we think about things and we really feel them, that sometimes they show up. And that's what happened to me. I met this guy who owns this property, and there are 10 cottages on this property, and it's right across the street from the beach. And I came, he told me to pick the one I wanted, so I did, and this is where I've been living for the last 6 years. It was something that was really in me all along since I was a little kid, and finally it came to be when I was 63. I'm probably saving about $1,000 or more. Everything is included in this rent: electricity, propane, internet, cable TV, everything. So it's really a wonderful deal.
Giving you more time to focus on getting the best outcome for your company. Trusted for almost 2 decades and offering the highest levels of security that we're like the Apple of data rooms. That's because Ansarada is the world's easiest to use virtual data room. Getting started is easy. Upload your documents, secure them, and then share them with third parties. All within the Ansarada data room. With Ansarada, you can reduce risk, boost efficiency, drive decision-making, and safeguard your reputation. Open a free data room without the need to commit right of large overage bills at the end of your deal. With an Ansarada virtual data room, you'll have clarity, confidence, and control from start to successful close. Ansarada, made for transaction management. You love building high-performing websites, but you don't love having clients down for content, coding plugins, or endlessly switching between tools. What if you could work without the grind? With Duda's AI stack, you can. Upload your client brief to generate a personalized website. Then, share that site with your client without ever leaving the platform. Elevate it by generating custom functionality on the fly. No heavy coding or plugins necessary. Instead of busy work, now you can just skip to the good part. Finally, AI where you want it, when you need it, every step of the way. From SEO to full site generation. Discover Duda's full AI stack at duda.com.
Here, I decided to write a book about how I did this minimalism thing, how I simplified my life. As I reflected on it, I realized that I simplified my life by getting rid of possessions, but I also worked on simplifying my life with having less appointments, minimizing my use of time, slowing down the pace of my life, and also having positive thoughts and negative ones, simplifying that. So in my book, I have how I did the simplifying of my life, and I have worksheets to help people think about how they want to simplify their lives, because simplifying our lives could be a way to self-care. Before, there was a Murphy bed here. It was a full-size Murphy bed that would go up against the wall when we don't use it and comes down as a bed when we use it. And because I had surgery, I couldn't hold the weight. So we left the TV there, and that's the best place to watch TV. A lot of the spacing in this room has to do with where the window is, in front of windows. So I knew that I could fit 2 shelving units here. There's a little closet over there. I can get into it. Just barely. It's like a puzzle. Everything has a place. And that's important to do when you move into a small space. You know what you want, and you gotta find space for it. I had to find special chairs that were small enough, because most chairs are much wider, and I found what I was looking for. It's a matter of knowing what you want, measuring the space, and making it work. And I just love the way it is, and I'm keeping it this way. One of the greatest things to remember when you're moving into a smaller space is that bookshelves, shelving units, are the best thing to get, because they only are usually not any deeper than 11 inches, and they could be 3 feet wide and 6 feet tall. So that's what I had when I first moved in here. However, I had a lot of baskets and boxes that I could see all the time, and it was busy. After I had been here a few years, I saved up some money, and I bought these 2 cabinets and the one in the kitchen. They're wonderful. They have doors. I can put a lot of stuff behind here. I have all of my bead collection for jewelry making here. I have a shawl collection. I make angel plaques. I have my shoes. I have all kinds of other things that I have in here that I need, and they're put in boxes and labeled. I know where to find them. Same thing with this one here. I have all kinds of things that I need, like paper and office supplies and my toolkit and things that I go through about twice a year. I remember where things are. I get rid maybe of a couple shopping bags of them, bring them to a place where I donate them. It's my way of living my minimal life and not having clutter. So they're the best things to have when you want to have a lot of things in a small space. Some people ask me, Marie, what was the hardest thing for you to have to endure to move into a tiny space like you have? The hardest thing for me to do was get rid of my books. As you can see on my shelf right now, I probably have like 60 books, maybe 50 books. I had over 3,000 books at one time. And I remember going through all of them, and I couldn't get rid of a single one of them. I did that several times. But when I first got to this cottage and saw the location across the street from the ocean, I had a motivation to make me get rid of my books. So that was the beginning of my being able to get rid of stuff that I felt very connected to. Some people feel connected to, their clothing or their grandmother's china or whatever. And I always tell people, if it's a product like maybe your grandmother's china and you never use it and it takes up a lot of room and it's just not feasible to keep it, take a picture of a place setting or a teacup and put that picture in an album, maybe on your computer or whatever, and you look at them every so often. It gives you memories. Pictures can help to keep the memories going. Once I got over that hurdle, it all fell into place. I have one of the biggest bathrooms on the premises, so I feel very thankful. I have a shower. It's a small shower like people have in little spaces, and a regular sized bathroom sink and cabinets underneath for storage for soaps and stuff, and medicine cabinet. That's the normal size that most people have. Then I have on the other side is the toilet, and then the apartment washer dryer stacked that I utterly love. We have a laundromat on the premises that people can use. There's 2 washers and 2 dryers, and it's a wonderful thing to have, but to have my own is just special. So I appreciate it. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything because I don't have a bigger space for a bathroom because it's functional. Some people feel much more comfortable when they have a big space and they can scatter things around or put things in different places. But I like small space. I mean, when I was a kid, I had a dream about an imagination in my parents' backyard that there was a little cottage and I could live in it and had everything I needed. I could see it through the door, and it was a fantasy of mine as a little kid to have a small space and have just what I need. And this is my fantasy coming true for me at an older age, which is kind of funny. But I feel like I have everything that I need. And one good thing about having a small space is it takes me 20 minutes to clean this whole place up. Vacuum and wash the sinks and dust. And if I had big apartments and big houses in the past, and it would take me 4 hours to do the same thing because it had more space to clean. So I don't miss that at all. This is the first book that I wrote when I had been here for about a year. It's called Minimalism for Wellbeing, A Guide to Simplifying All Facets of Your Life. And I share how I simplify my life, and I invite people to think about how they can simplify theirs. This is my second book that I wrote a year later. It's kind of a journey to authenticity, finding peace, freedom, peace, and joy. And this is kind of like all the life lessons that I had learned in my life the past 30 years, the different jobs I've had and things that happened in my life. This past May, a few months ago, I wrote Living with Simplicity and Discovering What Matters. It's kind of like getting older and looking at how I did slow down my life and discovered what really matters in my life and lived that out. So these are my 3 books that I would invite you to look at if you're interested. The website name is livingwithsimplicity.com. On my website, you can find a link to all of these 3 books and my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. my dachshund Molly Sue. This is my tiny home, Bethany Blue, and we're here at Coneyville in North Carolina. I like to travel. I like animals. I'm a counselor. I'm a Christian-based therapist. Tuesday through Friday, I'm talking to people about their problems. I've been a social worker for the last 12 years. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Yeah, I actually had a 3-level townhome in Vegas. It was a beautiful townhome, and I was renting it. You know, just with the pandemic and everything, so much had changed, and I had always wanted to be in a tiny house, but I was just apprehensive about going through the process. Actually, I was scared of figuring out how to set the foundation for that, as far as water hookups and electricity and getting the tiny house and where am I going to put it, just all these different things. So I just hadn't went forward in that area. But the pandemic really pushed me outside my comfort zone. I wanted to get out of the city, and I wanted to move to the country. I went forward and I actually got a trailer, and I renovated it. And when I lived in it, I was like, well, if I could live in this, surely I could be just fine in a tiny house. And I was looking around on a website, and I saw a girl who had the same exact tiny house as I did. I thought, well, this girl is single, and she has a tiny house. If she could do it, I can do it. And I prayed. I prayed, and I said, Lord, if you can do it for her, you can do it for me. I've been living tiny for 2 years now. I have an 8x26 tumbleweed tiny home. I believe it's the Cypress Equator. I've been here for the last 3 months. I'm a newbie. I am here on the corner lot. I really like it because it's by the creek. It's very quiet. I get to see a lot of the different dogs because a lot of people walk their dogs on this little trail here. It's very open. I also like that there are so many hiking trails here. I love to hike, love to walk. It's a lot of nice open space, and I enjoy just meeting the different neighbors, and you're not so closed in, not right next to someone. You have a generous amount of space. So I call my tiny house Bethany Blue, aka BB. Come on in and let's take a tour. All right, welcome to Bethany Blue. So my tiny home is 272 square feet. Really happy about it. It's a perfect size for me. I always tell people if I was to get married or anything, he would just only be able to bring his drawers in here. He wouldn't be able to have no clothes because I have this place locked and loaded, okay? Every nook and cranny is all my stuff. So I am so grateful because it's just the perfect little setup just for me. So this is my fabulous entryway. I'm so grateful because when I first moved here, this was all just a blank slate. One of those things that you realize when you first move into a house like this is that you need to have somewhere to put things. And I didn't factor that in. So I went to IKEA. IKEA is the best place for tiny homes. And I found this little drop down storage unit for shoes. So I put all my shoes here. I have a place to put my keys, chapstick, coats, jackets. This is really even better during the winter time because you've got the bulky boots and the bulky jackets. And so it's just very convenient to have it all in one space and have it organized. Then we come over here into my little nook area. This again was kind of a blank slate when I first moved here. It was just pretty much a hole, and it wasn't practical at all. It was very hard for me to find a piece of furniture to fit inside this space. But I was able to connect with a builder, and he was able to come out and put in pretty much a big, huge drawer for me to be able to store things under, but also a space for me to be able to sit in. And it gives me a space to put my extra exercise mat. I do a lot of Pilates, so I can put weights in one of the sections. I don't have a file cabinet, so I have things to put files in that section. So it's just good. All those little things that you need, but you don't need them every day, but you need to have access to them. And this table here, I sit this way, long ways a lot. And the original plan for the table was for me to be able to sit my feet on when I'm sitting in the nook. So I can make it like almost an L-shaped couch. But the other benefit of having this is if I'm sitting this way, I can use it as a side table. So it functions as a little ottoman and also a side table. And then it just kind of locks into place when I am not using it. And this is my storage loft. This loft is very, very handy because it allows me to store my off-season things. So I usually go through it and take everything down like twice, 3 times a year. And then we come here to the little dining room area. This functions as an exercise area when it is folded down. And it took me having to do some maneuvering for a few months to get used to it. It's just enough space for me to be able to work out. So I'm very thankful for that. And when I am not working out, I usually have it folded up. Excuse me, Molly Sue. Molly Sue run the house. I just want y'all to know that. So I usually have it folded up, and it functions as a dining room table. I do a lot of crafting, so I'll pull my crafts out. I have like drawers on the side here. It does fold out on the other side and can seat 6 people. I don't think I'm ever gonna have 6 people in here for dinner, but if push come to shove, that happens, at least it's an option. I love to cook. I am gluten-free, soy-free, oil-free, and I am vegan. So I do a lot of cooking. I pretty much cook everything from scratch. So this is a very important part of the house for me. I like to have things accessible and functional and organized. That is my motto. So my whole purpose in this whole section was to make it look nice, of course, but also to have things here that I could use and grab, and for it to be very functional for me when I'm trying to get to things. I have my spices here, a little 2-tier spice rack. That's very convenient. I have a 3-burner gas stove. It runs on propane. It does come with a pretty generous size oven. I do have some things that I store in here, my tortilla maker and things of that sort. I really like it. The only thing is you really can't put 3 pots on here at the same time. I usually only have about 2 things going. But usually I just try to keep it at 1, and I also have an electric cooktop that I use if I need more space. I like it. And you can also put this down when it's not in use. You just kind of close it up, and you can work on top of here too if you need to. So it gives you a little more prep space. And this is my drawer. This is kind of the catch-all drawer for the kitchen. Has all my different utensils and things for me to be able to cook. So that is very functional. Here I have a pantry area. When I originally moved here, all of these little cubbies were open, and the builder who built the nook, he put doors on them, and he also put in 2 slide outs here. These were just pretty much open holes. And so thankfully I got these 2 slide outs put in. This holds all of my herbs and teas and things of that sort, so I can keep them nice and organized. And this one holds all of my cans and the rest of my spices. So this works out perfectly. This is a Splendide washer dryer combo. I do not like it. I'm just gonna be real with y'all. I would not get this. I do not think that washers and dryers need to be together. I've had a few problems with it. It works, so I don't complain. Thank God I got a place to wash my clothes and dry them. But if I had to choose, I would have gotten a regular size washer and dryer. It's, to me, not the most practical thing, but it's good. It fits cozy in this space. And for now, where I'm at in my life, it definitely works. Here we have the other side of the kitchen, which is very handy for me. This was actually this little cutout space that they originally wanted to put a microwave, but I don't use microwaves, so I use it for all my appliances because I cook everything from scratch, so I got a lot of appliances. So I had to find appliances that could fit in this space. I bought this little cute little toaster oven. It's super tiny, but it's perfect for just me. And it's easy. I can just put it right on the counter. And here I have my Instant Pot, food processor, a juicer, and then my air fryer. So I'm able to just kind of pull things in and out as I make a meal. My fridge is it's like an apartment size fridge. It's small, y'all, okay? I'm just gonna show you. Now you look, don't judge me, okay? Everything else in here is organized but this, okay? I was just stuffing stuff in here. I gotta make it look a little nicer than that. But anyway, this is the one thing that I struggle with because I like to store food, and because I make everything from scratch, storing different things is very important to me. But this right here is small, so I'm struggling with that. But the bottom side of it is perfect. It just fits everything that I need. And then I have another pull-out pantry. This was part of the build that I had them put in. And down here is my little baking section. I have all my baking stuff here, and then the rest of my containers. So it just works out perfect. On the other side, I have my closet. This is my closet. Originally, when it came, it was a rod that they put here, but that just was not practical for me. So I went on the hunt at a container store, found all these different containers, and so it's good to be able to pull things out. Then I have a solar generator down here that I can flip on. I got that included with the build, so if the power ever went out, I can flip on the solar. And then I have this big, huge, ugly water heater. I did not realize that this big old thing would take up half the closet, but I praise God because you need to keep some hot water and nobody wants to take a cold shower. My tiny house was $98,000. Some people may think that's super expensive, and at first for me it was super expensive, right? So I was originally going to go with a used tiny home, but the process of getting a loan, I mean, there's only so many ways you can do it. You either need to have the upfront cash or you need to get a loan. And a personal loan, the interest on a personal loan is gargantuous. So I went through Tumbleweed and had to go through the whole custom route, which made it more expensive. And I actually was really happy that I did that because I ended up getting a tiny home mortgage loan. And as a result of that, the interest rate was way lower. So I paid way less for a mortgage because I was like really anxious about the idea of paying for that. Is it worth it? Should I do that? But it was either that or pay for an apartment because I couldn't afford to buy a traditional big home, and I didn't really want that anyway. What I did was I sat down and I added up all of the years of rent that I paid over the last 15 years. Well, look, I'm telling my age, but 20 years? I'm 39, so I've been out of the house since I was 18. I added up all the years of rent that I had paid, and it came to over $300,000. And when I saw that, it shifted my whole perspective. You know, you sit up here crying about $98,000 when you paid this gargantuous amount of money. You could have had 3 tiny homes. You could have had a regular house. So when I added that up, it really put things into perspective for me. And this is something that I own. And nothing wrong with renting. I did it for a very long time, but for the lifestyle that I wanted, it just wasn't practical anymore. And for the cost of living now, is just so expensive. So it just made a whole lot of sense for me. But I would like to pay it off within 5 to 7 years. That's my goal. And I think it's